In this example, we're going to graph one complete cycle of the function y equals sine of 5x times cosine 3x minus cosine of 5x times sine of 3x. As you see the problem given the complicated form, we are going to use the sum or the different formulas to rewrite this expression into one single trig function before we sketch the graph. From what we have is in a pattern of sine A times cosine B minus cosine A times sine B, which is the formula of the sine of the difference or sine of A minus B. That tells us we are going to rewrite it as, since A is 5x and B is 3x, so this function is rewritten as the single trig function in the form of sine of 5x minus 3x or just sine of 2x. So we're gonna use the function y equals sine of 2x to sketch the graph or one complete cycle of the graph. Recall the pattern or the standard form of the function that we're gonna use to find the property of the graph would be y equals k plus a multiplied by sine times sine of bx plus c. In our case, the k is 0 because the function sine has nothing added to it. So I'm gonna put the note or make a list here. So we have k equals 0, the a equals 1, the b equals 2, and the c equals 0. So since the k value equals 0, therefore the graph has no vertical shift. The a equals 1 will be used to find the amplitude of the graph. The amplitude is the absolute value of the a, which is the absolute value of the 1 or 1. The number b equals 2 is used to compute the period of the graph. The period is 2 pi divided by b, which is 2 pi divided by 2 comes out to be pi. So the graph will finish one cycle with the length of the pi. The following part of this, since we're going to sketch the graph of the sine function, we're going to make it into 4 equal subintervals. So then the increment of the interval going to be the period divided by 4, which is pi divided by 4. So we're going to make an increment from one point to another point with the length of pi over 4. The last number, which is the c value, since the c value is 0, so c is 0, c is used to find the phase shift of the graph. The phase shift or the starting point of the graph or the starting point of the cycle, negative c over b. Since the c value is 0, so the graph going to start at the point 0. Therefore, the 5 key points that we're going to make a list to complete the graph of the sine will be from the point 0, and then the next going to be pi over 4, and then 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, and then 4 pi over 4, which is pi. So we're going to have to make a scale from 0 to pi with the increment of pi over 4. I'm going to put here starting from 0 and then pi over 4. 2 pi over 4 is the same as pi over 2. And then 3 pi over 4. And then the last point of one cycle going to be pi. And since the a value is positive, a here, positive number, that means no reflection. No reflection. And the typical side of the sine graph, it will start from the 0 and then go up to the max, back to 0, minimum, and back to 0. The maximum, if you look at the amplitude is 1. So the range gonna be from -1 to +1 because the range will be in the form that k minus absolute value of the a until k plus absolute value of the a. The absolute value of a is 1, the k is 0, therefore the range will be -1 to 1. So the graph will go from 0 to 1, which is the maximum, and go down to 0, go down to the minimum, and go back up to the 0 again. So we get the graph of y equals sine of 2x, which is the single trig function form of the given y equals sine of 5x times cosine 3x minus cosine 5x times sine of 3x.